So in tutorial 1, we set up the game. We had the size of our area, and you can change this to whatever size you want. Choose settings. You should only do this once, because once you start putting stuff on your game, you change the size of things, everything gets displaced. So I set this up nice and wide. I can set it up square if I want to, but I want to make sure I choose this before I get moving too far. So I'm going to set that up. One way you can test this is to go ahead and add a brick somewhere just to see where things are. So if I create and edit sprite, I don't want to edit the sprite actually yet. I'm just going to leave that in there and say OK. And now if I click play, I can see where things go. So it's actually not as wide as it looks like it is. This is just a way of finding out where my corners are. So what I might do is click on this and clone it and try to guess my other corners, because they're usually not where I think they should be. So I'm going to go to here, and I think it's just because we want to have some extra area. I'm going to click done cloning. So cloning objects is easy to do and quick. So this shows me where the corners of my game are. So click escape to go back to editing, and I'm going to go to my game levels. We're going to set up 2 levels right now. We're going to add more later, but we've got level 1, and let's add a new level here also. And I should name this one. So if I click in here, I can change the name of the level, and I'm going to call this titles. Now you'll notice that titles should come before level 1. Okay, this should be sequential. So there's a button over here that lets us move these things around. So if I push minus here, it moves up. Now my titles are first. And I'm going to go ahead and take this hexadecimal code in here, Control A and Control C, and I'm going to paste it here, Control A and Control V. So now I've got the same color values, and you could change it if you want to. It's kind of up to you. But now I've got 2 levels. One is light titles and one is level 1. And click OK. So once I go back there, I should actually click load to load the titles, because this little tutorial is about adding your titles. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a title off the screen, and I'm not even going to change what it looks like. I'm cool with that, and I'm going to call this title maker. And let's see, now we're going to add some behaviors to it. So behaviors are simply programming in logic blocks. So this is our first real attempt at this outside of the Flow Lab tutorial. If you took that one, if you didn't, you can still do this one just fine. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go find, so these are arranged in sections. So triggers are what makes something happen. Logic and math are a bunch of numerical things like numbers and expressions and stuff. Okay, logic, if-then statements. Components are things that make things happen. So sound, emitting and spawning objects, impulse, point. Okay, so those are things. Properties have to do with exact objects. So its position, its rotation, its transparency, size, etc. And then GUI, or graphic user interface, is objects that are visual, that have allow the user to see stuff. So game flow is when we can work through those, pausing the game, next level, restart game, etc. There's a section for mobile device, which we'll get into some other time. And then there's a few other things. The one we really want to know about for later is behavior bundles. Right now we want GUI, or graphic user interface. So I'm going to choose the label, and I'm going to click on this, and I probably should move that down so we can see it. And I'm going to give this a label. So it says label actually right here. I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but if I darken this up, this color, and choose black or red, then I've got this. And now I can see it just a little bit better, and that's helpful. That may well also be the color I want to use for later. Red's nice and bold and it demands attention. It's going to get lots of emphasis. So I'm going to change it to center, and I'm actually going to name my game. So I'm going to name this one, I don't know, I'm going to think of a name and a situation for my game. So you should be thinking of what your game represent, or just copy mine is fine. So I'm going to name this one, gosh, Luigi and Mario already taken. Let me name this one Jones's Run. I have a comic strip character I made named Jones one time. So click OK, and now it shows up. So this one does not need a trigger. Most things need to have a trigger in place. So I'm going to go back, say OK, and actually if we go back into this, you can use numerics to control the position. If I open this and it says, what is this? What is it? And it goes to this and it describes what these pieces are. There's an X and a value, X and a Y input, and actually this must be a previous version because the text should have an input for X and Y. So you can reposition this by dragging it, which is probably the easiest way to go, but I think you might be able to use these XY inputs to position this somewhere. Let's just try that for fun. So if I go to logic and math and get number, I'm going to choose 2 numbers. I clicked it twice, and here's a little secret. If I did this thing at 20 squares wide, that's 32 pixels per square, so that's 640 wide maybe. So if I set the X value to 320, I'm just going to type it in 320, and then set the out to the X. I was hoping to see if that worked. Let's run this. Yep, that didn't work. So there's actually a testing situation here. So these parts don't do anything that I want to use right now. So what I can do though is I can actually go into, so let's say OK, say OK again, and take this and just grab it and move it or put it where I want. Okay, so let's go back into our title maker, edit, behaviors, and that's pretty good for now. I can get in here and toy around with what it says. I can change the font, do lots of things to the colors, etc. So I encourage you to try these things out. I made it a little bit larger. I don't like that font very much, but make it how you want it to look. So again, if I want to mess with the font, here's the font list, and it's a little bit weird to work with sometimes because as soon as I'm done clicking on that selection bar, it disappears, which is frustrating. So you kind of want to find a section and go like this. I don't like that one either. I should have left it alone. Anyways, okay, that's nice and pixely looking. That's kind of fun. So let's call that OK. And next thing we're going to add is we have to have a start button in here. So my start button is going to be another GUI, and it's called an alert. So alert, it shows where it is. I like the position of it, that's fine. But I need to open it and edit what it says. So the title message is going to be stay on the run. So this is instructions. The body message is help Jones escape trouble. And you kind of want to double check your spelling on these. And then the button message, I'm going to make this all caps and say play. And you can change the colors later if you want to. I might still have my hexadecimal for my background. Yep, I do. So I've just made my button have the same background as everything else. Now notice when I clicked it and it disappeared. So a label shows up just because we said so, but the alert needs to be triggered. So we get the trigger and we say once, and these logic blocks are connected like this. So once I add that and move it over, I can test it right here within the behaviors by clicking the play button at the bottom. And so there's my stay on the run. And you'll notice it totally doesn't do anything except disappear. So what we want to be able to make this do is use a GUI, or excuse me, not a GUI, a game flow. So game flow, they both start with G, I got confused. So if I take this and I say next level and add this, go like this, now when I run it, it's going to go to the next level. And so now we're in level 1. So that's pretty much how it works for this. Click stop and OK. And that's pretty much how we get our titles going. So that took a few minutes. You can do the same thing now, and we'll get to the next one. Then our next one, we're going to start designing level 1.